Box plots is a new type of graph in sixth grade, and it breaks data into four equal groups, or what we call quartiles. Why do we use box plots? Well, we use box plots and if we want to see medians, if we want to see what the middle value is, or where our lower 25% is of their data. We really don't care about the frequencies, and we really don't care about what the largest number is, the smallest number is, things like that. We really want to see how the data is spread out between the different quarters of the data. So this hopefully will make a little sense to you after you watch it. Okay, so let's say, for example, this is my data numbers, all right? And I want to see where my median is, and I want to see where my lower median and my upper median is. So I need to find median. How do we find median again? We find the middle number. So we need to first put all of our numbers into order, okay? So I already went ahead and wrote it down on this paper because this is a lot of work that I did not want to make a mistake on. So I went ahead and already wrote down the numbers. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy what's on my page. So if I was going to put these in order, that's step one. Put all numbers into order. Find the median. Order data. That's step one. Okay, and we're going to find the median. So when I do this, I have 15, 16, 21, 21, 27, 30, 35, 44, 57, 68, 76, and 91. Barely all fits. Okay, so I need to find my median. So if I go through and start crossing off my numbers, okay, which I really don't want to do too much. So when I find medians, when I'm trying to find box plots, I do this because you're going to need to see those other numbers. And if I keep going, okay, 35 is going to be my median. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12. Oh, wait, no, between 30 and 35, sorry, is my median. So that is right there is my median. So that would be 32 and a half. Okay, and then I need to find my lower median. So if I look through these numbers, my lower median, if I go 1, 2, see why I don't mark off my numbers. So these two are my medians right here. So my lower median is 21. And then my upper median is between 57 and 68. And that is 61 and a half. Okay, so that's my median between 57 and 68. Okay, so if you can see, half my numbers are on this side and the other half of my numbers are on this side. And then if I'm just looking at this data, there's half, there's 3 numbers here, and there's 3 numbers here. So it's broken all into equal pieces. I have 3 numbers in each set. So I have these 3 numbers, these 3 numbers, these 3 numbers, and these 3 numbers. So there's my 4 quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I find all my medians. All right, so that's the second step. Now I need to graph all these points. So step 2, let's go ahead and write down, find medians. Okay, which is what I did. And then step 3 is we're going to graph. Okay, so my range goes from 5 all the way to 91. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and graph this. I'm going to go ahead and put 100 all the way over here and 0. All right, and then we're going to put 50, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So I'm counting by tens going all the way across. All right, so I need to plot, first of all, 32 and a half. All right, so I'm going to get close to where 32 and a half is. So here's where 30 is. So 32 and a half would be approximately right there. That is my exact median. That means half my data is between 0 and 32 and a half. And the other half is between 0 and 100, basically. Okay? So this is half my data. All right? Then I'm going to graph my lower median and my upper median. So my lower median is 21, so here's 20 and 21. and then 61.5 is over here. So I'm going to go ahead and box that in. Okay, so there's my box. So this is the middle 50% of my data. And then I'm going to make a dot at 5 and a dot at 91. And this is what we call little whiskers. And they go out there as well. Okay, so this is box and whisker graph for how I learned it, and now we just call them box plots. And we can see that half our data is only about 25 numbers, where the other half of our data is about 60. So this is where we would say we have a cluster because these pieces are closer together. This is where we've got some gaps in our data. So if we notice we have a gap here, not just because that's where our median is, we've got 11 numbers here, we've got 13 numbers here, we've got 8 numbers here, and then we've got about 15 numbers right here. So there are more gaps in this data. So that's why those pieces are longer. Even though we have the data broken into 4 equal pieces, okay, this is all jacked up because we've got gaps here and we've got clusters right here. So that's why these pieces are smaller. Okay, let's go ahead and do one more example. All right, here's our second example. All right, so here I've got 9 numbers. All right, and the first step we do is we put them in order. All right. Then the second step is to find those medians. So the first thing we want to do is find our actual median, our actual middle number. So if we go through and start marking off our numbers, and again, I don't like to cross off the numbers because I'm going to be crossing them off a second time. In this case, I have an actual number, 21. All right. Then if I go down to these lower numbers down here and I start crossing off 1, 2, here is my lower median. It's between 10 and 15. So that's going to be 12.5 is going to be my lower median right here in between 10 and 15. If I go in here, it's going to be between 28 and 31, and that would be 29.5. And that's going to be my lower median. So middle median, my actual median, lower median, upper median. And again, I've got 2 numbers here, 2 numbers here, 2 numbers here, and 2 numbers here. So my data is broken into 4 equal groups, okay? But just because they're in 4 equal groups doesn't mean all my pieces are equal, all right? So when we graph it, we're going to see where any clusters are or where any gaps are going to be in my data. So let's go ahead and graph it. So I need to go from, let's go ahead and make it from 5 to 35. So that way we can hit, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So we're going to count by 5s. And we're going to go ahead and graph our medians. So that's the first thing we do first is graph our medians. So I'm going to go ahead and do 21. Then my 12.5 is going to be about here, right in the middle between 10 and 15. And then 29.5 is going to be closer to that 30. And there's my box. So far we look pretty even in that middle section, all right? And then we're going to graph our first number, which is 8, and our last number, which is 35. All right? So in this box plot, these 2 pieces are shorter than this middle. And that means that we've got more numbers that are located here and here, and our gaps are in between this number because these pieces are longer. So remember, shorter pieces mean there's a cluster. The numbers are closer together. A longer piece in a box plot means that there's a gap. There's going to be holes missing. And from a box plot, we can read the following information. I know the median. I know the median. I know the lower median and the upper median. Now, just like in the first example, none of my medians were actual numbers. Just like 12.5 and 29.5 are not actual numbers. So I don't know those actual numbers if I'm just given this box plot. So if I'm just given this box plot, I know what the medians are, but the medians might not necessarily be the actual number, okay? So in this problem right here, in this example, 21 is an actual data number, but these 2 are not. So these 3 may or may not be actual data numbers, so please keep that in mind. The only numbers that I know for 100% certainty are in my data set are my maximum number, and my minimum number. Those are the only two that are actual physical numbers in a data set. Okay, so and then I can say, let's say this is typing words in a minute. All right, so if I say this is typing words in a minute, I can say that the top 50% of my students can type 21 to 35 minutes words per minute. Okay, I can say my lower 50% can type 21 words to 8 words per minute. Okay, I can say my top 25% of students can type 29 and a half minutes or 29 and a half words to 35 words per minute, and my lower 25% can go 12 and a half to 8. All right, so that's kind of how you read a Box and Wismer plot.